Most of you are playing Phoenix right now and have no idea what you're doing. You're wasting her sparks, missing free detonations, and using her flight only to reposition. There is so much more to do with this character and a lot more ways to optimally use her kit. The reality of it is, if you're not combining her illusions, flight, and sparks properly, you're playing Phoenix at a fraction of her true potential. This video is going to break down exactly how to master her abilities, her best combos to delete enemies before they can even react, and all the tips and tricks you need to play Phoenix at a much higher level. Phoenix is a high mobility DPS that can control fights with lethal precision. But if you don't play her the way I'm about to teach you, you're better off playing someone like Hela. Alright, now let's get into how you can use Phoenix to her fullest potential. So before looking at any of the moves or abilities, I wanted to go through my settings, and first I wanted to go through my Crosshair. Now I'm going to have the code for the Crosshair in the description, but in case you're on console, here are the settings. Pause it wherever you want. You're probably wondering why a Crosshair is so important for your Phoenix, but you'll see later on in the video. Trust me, it is really important. But I will also admit it's not necessary. Next, I wanted to go over the keybinds. Again, not necessary, but I find it really helpful to have your first ability, Dark Ascent, as left shift, and your second ability as a mouse button. Also, make sure hold to activate Dark Ascent is on. Alright, now let's get into the abilities. Phoenix's primary fire is Cosmic Flames, and it's a hit scan beam that applies sparks with every shot. Here's what most of you don't realize. Every third spark detonates for AoE damage and heals you for a portion of that damage. 40 HP to be exact. But what really separates good Phoenix players from bad ones is how you stack and detonate sparks. Stop shooting just to deal damage. You're shooting to set up detonations at the right time. Keep in mind, headshots apply 2 sparks instead of 1, so aim for the head to instantly set up detonations in just 2 shots. Another thing to know is that when you're headshotting, any distance from over 13 meters will no longer 2-shot kill them. Use her primary to delete squishies instantly or force tanks to back off because you're melting their HP and healing yourself at the same time. Stop thinking of her primary as just a gun. It's your spark detonator, your self-sustain, and your main source of pressure. Her second attack is Telekinesis Burst, and this ability is way more powerful than most of you think. It's an AoE explosion that stuns enemies for a short duration and slows them. But here's the part you're probably ignoring. It also applies spark to every one hit. And there's a way for your right click to mark all 3 sparks and do damage within one attack. So what I mean is with one right click you can mark them 3 times and have them explode. Here's where that crosshair comes in. Line up your crosshair so the top of your outer circle is at their toes. Then simply press right click. This works so well because the initial hit from the right click is 1, and then the first explosion and the second explosion are 1 separate as well. So it triggers all 3 sparks. Here's a comparison of the damage between the normal way of doing it and my way of doing it. Now that you know this, it's important to always lead with the Telekinesis Burst to instantly stack sparks on multiple targets. Combine that with your primary fire right after and you can detonate sparks for massive AoE damage and heal yourself at the same time. And don't forget, your first explosion is a stun and the explosions right after are slows. That means it's one of the best tools for shutting down aggressive divers and peeling for your team, or even setting up guaranteed headshots for yourself. It's also worth mentioning that because it's a stun, it can actually stun people out of their ults. Another thing I wanted to talk about before getting into Phoenix's abilities was regarding her melee. The speed of her melee actually depends on how you press the button. If you hold it, it is slower than when you tap it. Here's a comparison side by side. So with Phoenix, you're actually better off tapping the melee button rather than holding it, as it does way more damage way quicker. Also, a quick reminder, if this guide is helping you understand Phoenix better at all, I'd really appreciate it if you took the time to leave a like. And if you have anything to add or disagree with anything that I'm saying, feel free to leave it in the comments below and I'm down to have a conversation about it. Or if you have any feedback for me so I can improve the quality of my videos, I'd appreciate that too. Alright, now let's get into Phoenix's Telepathic Illusion. Her Telepathic Illusion is probably the most underrated part of her kit. When you activate it, Phoenix dashes forward and leaves behind an illusion that not only explodes but also applies a spark to the enemy. But here's what most of you are messing up. You're just using it as a movement tool and a way to escape. While yes, it can be a great way to disengage, the real power comes from when you combine it with your primary fire, your Telekinesis Burst, and even your melee. All of these traits for this ability are great, but the absolute best feature for this ability is the fact that it has iframes. Now if you don't know what that is, watch this. That's right. Phoenix can use her ability as a way to be immortal for a second, and so she can dodge all these crazy abilities and ultimates. So stop wasting this ability just to escape. It's your engage as well and your reposition tool. But most importantly, you're able to use it to be able to stay aggressive while still keeping yourself safe. Dark Ascent is Phoenix's flight ability, and most of you are completely misusing it. When you activate it, Phoenix gains flight for a short duration along with increased movement speed and ammo regeneration. But here's the thing. This isn't just a get out of jail free card. You should be using Dark Ascent to take off angles, reposition mid-fight, and target backlines with your full ammo refreshed. Pair this with Telepathic Illusion, and the enemy's always going to be looking over his shoulder, not knowing where you're repositioned next. Additionally, instead of just repositioning at random times or using the flight random times, use it when you're out of ammo, so you never have to reload. Dark Ascent is what turns Phoenix from just another hitscan into a highly mobile assassin. She can control fights from anywhere at any time, with no cooldowns holding her back. There's only a few second wait before your flight is all charged up, which is fine because you could use those few seconds to be able to get in more damage. Endsong Inferno is Phoenix's ultimate, and it's one of the most devastating ults in the game when used correctly. If you don't use it right, you're gonna make the mistake of thinking it's doo-doo cheeks. When you activate it, Phoenix flies up and slams down, dealing massive AoE damage in a huge 60-meter radius. But here's the thing. Most people think it doesn't do damage at all, but that's because they don't do it before they apply Spark. Use whatever cooldowns you can to apply the most Spark to the most enemies as you can. Then use your ultimate and watch how significant the damage is. Not only does it deal a lot of damage, but it also destroys all shields and all summons. This means every single Loki clone within the 60-meter radius will be destroyed. Not only does it break summons like Loki clones or deployables like Raccoon's respawn beacon or even his ult, it also destroys shield. That means the next time Venom uses his E, you could just simply negate it completely with your ultimate. Same goes for Mantis's ult, Raccoon's ult, and even Luna's ult. This means paired with Phoenix, Mag will no longer be useless against Luna's ult. Just as one among the many examples, if Phoenix ever gets rid of Luna's ult with her ult, Mag will have a free ult to use on Luna. This is huge because my Mag players know that for the longest time, Mag could negate every single person's ult, a support ult, except for Luna's because of her shield. Well, that's no longer going to be a problem. Additionally, if you have a team that can focus properly, if your team pairs its damage output at the right time as soon as you hit your ult on Luna, they can actually almost instantly kill her. This goes for every other support character as well. But get this, that's not even the craziest part. While I know it's situational and you're not always going to want to burn two really significant ultimates, if it ever comes to it or you end up coincidentally using your ult at the same time as your Luna's ult, if Luna actually damage boosts your ultimate can actually kill every single support instantly while they're ulting. That's gonna wrap up this Phoenix Mastery Guide. I hope it helped you understand how to actually use her kit to its full potential. If this video taught you anything new or helped you at all, drop a like. And if you have any tips I may have missed, let me know in the comments. I'm also still pretty new to making videos like this, and I'm always trying to improve my content, so any feedback you leave would mean a lot to me. And if you're still watching this video, to show my appreciation, I wanted to leave you with one last tip. So we know that every spark explosion with Phoenix heals her for 40 health over 4 seconds. But did you know that healing can actually stack for up to 16 seconds? That means if you can chain 4 back-to-back explosions, you'll heal for a total of 160 health over 16 seconds, keeping you alive way longer in fights than you probably even realized. Also, don't forget to subscribe because in my next video, I'll be talking over my live gameplay as Phoenix to show how exactly I apply these tips in real matches. I'll also be breaking down mistakes I made and what I could have done better to improve for my next games. And if you want to keep improving your gameplay and having a higher chance of ranking up, check out my last video where I break down how exactly to be a better tank in just a few simple mindset shifts. It'll completely change the way you approach fights as a tank. And even if you're not a tank player, trust me, I think it'll definitely help you with your gameplay, regardless of your role. Believe it or not, knowing how other roles work will help you play better in your role. Alright, I'm done. Thanks for watching and see ya.